One of the biggest mistakes people make in regards to their visas or residence permit in the Czech Republic is that they change their purpose of stay without thinking about it or without consulting with someone who knows what it's all about. Because changing the purpose of your stay might seem like an easy task, but it's not always like that, because there are many rules, and in some cases you cannot even change the purpose of your stay. So it's very important to know what are the rules. So I will tell you about the rules in the next 5 minutes. But if you're not really sure, if you don't know exactly what you're doing, the best thing is to consult with someone who knows all the rules, so you can make sure that you don't get in trouble. Because in the worst case scenario, you can even get deported, your visa can be denied, cancelled, whatever, if you don't stick to some of these rules. So let's start with a long-term visa. Long-term visa, generally, you cannot change your purpose of stay with a long-term visa. So if you come here under a long-term visa as a student, you cannot really change to anything else. If you come here, you need to keep studying at least until you get the residence permit. Because the residence permit, the purpose of stay of your residence permit should always be the same as the purpose of stay of your long-term visa. So if you come here under a long-term visa as a student, you should apply for a residence permit as a student. If you come here as under the business visa, you should apply for a business residence permit. Because generally, you can only change the purpose of your stay under the long-term residence permit. For a long-term visa, you cannot really change the purpose of your stay. What you can do is that you let your current visa expire and apply for a new one through the embassy, the same way as you did for the first one. So if you, for example, come here under a business visa and you decide to apply for a student visa, then you can let your business visa expire and then apply again for a student visa through the Czech embassy, the same as you did for the business visa. This is very unpractical for especially those nationalities who cannot apply anywhere, and especially those who do not have the 90 days visa-free stay, because you would need to leave the Czech Republic and the Schengen area, go back to your home country, hopefully get an appointment for the new submission and apply again. So that's not really recommended. So when you get to the residence permit, the plastic card, then it's a bit more flexible. So let me give you a couple examples, the most important ones and the most common ones in real life. So, business. If you are here under any other type of visa or residence permit, so employee card, blue card, student visa, student residence permit, whatever, you cannot apply for a business residence permit, so you cannot change the purpose of your stay from whatever you have to business earlier than after 5 years of living in the Czech Republic. So if you're a student, you've been studying here for 3 years and now you want to switch to business, you cannot really do it. You need to wait for 5 years to be able to switch. The same thing if you're here under a family reunification, you decide to start your own business, you would like to change your purpose of stay, the earliest you can do it is after 5 years. The same for employee card holders, blue card holders, any other type. There is one exception, or two exceptions basically. One, if you're here as a student and you finish your studies and you go to the job seeker residence permit, then from the job seeker you can switch to business even if you haven't been here for 5 years. So if you study bachelor's in the Czech Republic, you get bachelor's degree after 3 years, then you apply for the 9 months of job seeker residence permit, then you can switch to the business residence permit even without reaching the 5 years, because you will be at that time right at around 4 years and you can do that, but only if you go through the job seeker. The only other exception is if you were a family member of an EU citizen, if you had the partnership visa, if you had the temporary residence permit as a family member of an EU citizen, you broke up, you got divorced or whatever, so your partnership visa or temporary residence permit will be cancelled, and then you have 60 days to apply for a different type of residence permit. So you can do it this way as well. So this is the two exceptions where you can apply for business residence permit earlier than after 5 years. Other than that, no chance. Yeah, if you want to, actually good thing is if you want to switch to an employee card or to a blue card, because you can switch to those from any type of visa or residence permit you have. So if you come here under a student visa or student residence permit, you find a job and you want to switch to an employee card or a blue card, you can do that. I'm not saying it's recommended for many reasons, and I did a video about that like a week or two ago. It's not really recommended to switch from student to anything else because it only complicates future applications to future students, and it can also complicate your life. But check the video I made about this topic before. But technically you can do that. If you're here under a business residence permit, you can also switch to an employee card or blue card. Even if you're under an employee card, you can apply for a blue card. Technically, even if you're under the blue card, you can apply for an employee card. I don't really see any benefit in that, but technically it's possible. Of course, there are benefits in switching from employee card to blue card, yes, but the other way around, not really, but you can do that. Similarly, it works with a student residence permit. Whatever type of visa or residence permit you have, you can switch to a student residence permit. But student means, the real student means accredited program of a Czech university. So if you're here as a business owner under the business visa and you want to study university full-time, then you can do that. You can change the purpose of your stay from business to student. The other way around, it's a bit more complicated as I explained, but this is possible. There are some limitations for family members, like a family reunification residence permit, but only if you come here under the residence permit, family reunification residence permit. So, because in some cases you can do it, but if you do that, then it might be a bit more complicated to change the purpose of your stay to something else within the first 3 years or so, depending on the situation. But if you come under the long-term visa as a family reunification, then all these rules are fine. So I'm thinking if there is something else, you can always change also. If you come here as a third country national, and you find an EU partner or husband, spouse, you get a Czech or EU kid. So you don't have a partner, but you just got pregnant somehow and you have a Czech child now, but you live alone as a single mother, then you can still switch to the temporary residence permit or to the partnership visa. So that's possible, and that's actually a pretty amazing switch. So that's something I would recommend. The other way around, it's not that easy, that if you are here as a family member of a new citizen and you want to be independent on that citizen, so you got a partnership visa and you don't really want to be dependent on your partner anymore. Of course, I'm not talking now about the situation when you get divorced or like you just break up, because in that case, as I mentioned in the beginning, you would get the 60 days leave-in order basically, and you can switch to something else, to the business residence permit or to an employee card. But if you are still together, you just don't want to be attached to each other, because, I don't know, your husband or wife might move to some other EU country, but you want to stay in the Czech Republic or something like that, then it's not that easy actually to switch to something else. The only thing you can do at the moment is to switch to a blue card. There are no limitations for that now, after the change of the law on the 1st of July. But if you wanted to switch to something else, to the to the employee card, to the business residence permit, student residence permit, then you would need to actually declare that you broke up or that you got divorced, and only then you get the 60 days leave-in order, and then you can change the purpose of your stay, because the EU relative status is the highest possible status you can get after the permanent residency and after the Czech citizenship. So it's the third highest residence permit you can get, or status you can get, so they don't let you change it to the lower one easily. And I guess that's it. If you have any questions about any other combinations, get in touch, comment, or send me a message, fill in the form in the description of the video. Or of course, get in touch with Move to Prague and we'll be happy to help you, because as I mentioned in the beginning, if you decide to change the purpose of your stay, and it's also about how often you change that. Because if you change once, that's okay, but if you want to change twice or 3 times, or if you even switch back and forth between student and employee card and student, and again, then it can actually complicate your life a lot. And especially if you don't stick to some of the rules, or if you, for example, you didn't know about the 5 years for the business residence permit and you try to apply for it now because you just don't want to study anymore and you want to switch to the business, then you would be fucked. Sorry, that probably YouTube doesn't allow me to say that, but you would be screwed because it's just not possible. So you would submit the application and then like a couple of weeks later it would be denied and you would not have the student residence permit, you would not have the business residence permit, and you would need to leave the Czech Republic. So please consult with us, or if you don't want to consult with us, consult with someone else, but someone who knows the rules and who can give you a good advice before you make the decision, before you make the change. Because when you do it, it's often too late. So thank you guys, and see you again Thursday, Monday, until the end of the world. Bye bye.